From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check of 2021 as the $3.5 trillion recon passed. And now all those clusters of checks are staying in. Cluster number 1 passed, hazard pay, and up to $4,000 for elder care passed. Cluster number 2, home repairs and paid leave passed and staying in there. Cluster number 3, seniors checks and free internet passed. And now the great news, as the progressives say, all the checks that have passed are staying in. No check is getting reduced. And the only thing that's getting changed is the back end that doesn't affect you. The duration of the programs and the taxes to pay for the programs. I'll explain the incredible great details in this recording, plus those IRS stimulus checks, as negotiations are near complete for the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check. $1,000 a month after the first month of 2000, says no less than 1,000 different phone calls from Senators Coons, Sanders, Ward, Schumer, Casey, and Wyden, and AOC, Jalopal, and Pelosi to viewers of this channel. At Mornings, we'll go over all the incredible details as that recon is passed and it's staying passed. We'll go over what's happening this week, what's going on with third stimulus, what's going on with those nonprofits, as now viewers are getting big sums of money, and I'm going to show you how to get these big sums of money and how to reach financial independence. We'll be turning to the big exciting details as what's unfolding for that recon this week. What's going on with those monthly stimulus checks as Democrats continue to hear your advocacy and say they want to continue to hear your advocacy across the board. It's a great morning as your recon is passed and everything that's been passed is staying passed. The big payouts, the big money, the big details. It's a big morning and bacon's in the room. And it's time for early mornings. No, it's time for normal mornings. LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day across the globe as your $3.5 trillion recon passed. And in this recording, we'll go over all these incredible checks and clusters of checks that passed. Cluster number 1 passed. Cluster number 2 passed. Cluster number 3 passed. And all the items that have passed are staying there. And we'll go over what the Democrat progressives are changing. It's the back end. Doesn't concern you whatsoever. We'll go over those IRS stimulus checks and what viewers have continued to be told by the day, by the hour, and those incredible sums of money. We'll go over all that great details. Then we'll be cutting back over to third stimulus with a big cash infusion for rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage, and even appliances. Yes, it's deliciousness. Then we'll be cutting to what the president's doing, what Pelosi's doing, what the progressives are doing, and I need another P in there. I don't know, popcorn. It's a great new morning because the toast is toast and the popcorn's popping and the butter is buttering, and this is Mornings LALATE. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. There's a reason you become a member or a subscriber, because this is the only place you're going to see this breadth of coverage. No less than 2 weeks ago, a House subcommittee, the Budget Subcommittee, passed your $3.5 trillion recon with cluster 1, 2, and 3's checks in there. Broadcast media never covered it. Print media didn't even mention it occurred. YouTube channels don't even understand it. In this recording, we're going to go over all that and more. And we're starting right now with the first cluster of checks passed on that incredible $3.5 trillion recon of that House Budget Committee doing a good deed for you. And cluster number 1's checks passed. They include hazard pay and $4,000 for elder care. What's in this first cluster? It starts with hazard pay. Up to hazard pay, they took the old earned income tax credit, broadened the eligibility, increasing the amount of money so more people qualify for it and also pay more money annually. Then up to $4,000 a year to care for the elderly. Then a little bit of the same on the other side to care for young children. Home repairs, if you're in a low-income household, low-income community, the federal government will give you money to make those home repairs. Then $51,000 of monthly stimulus checks, taking the CTC, the child tax credit, and broadening the eligibility. Now, for a parent of a child, if that child will get up to $300 every month, every year for up to 18 years, that the household is a low-income household. Wow. They got money in there for college students, grants to the universities to the students, and the Pell's grant made tax-free. And next comes the bikes, the cars, and the trucks. 15% for the purchase price of a new electric bike, all U.S. auto manufacturers. Then up to $7,500 for a new electric car, and then a little bit more if it's for business use, and a little bit more if it's for electric truck. There you go. Cluster number 1 pass, and that is the first cluster. Time to go right into the second cluster of checks, and they got those all passed. Wow, this is deliciousness. Cluster number 2 checks include home repairs, and paid leave. What is paid leave? Well, let's go over all the details. This is up to $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 more per year under third stimulus. Split it in half. $35,000 annual salary, that would be $800 a week. Split it in half. $15,000 annual salary, $400 a week. This is you have to stay home because the wife is pregnant, paid family leave, paid medical leave. You have to stay home because the son broke his leg. Then they got no less than other checks in the second cluster, like build up of child care programs, household tax credits, Medicare benefits, more about that in the third cluster, including dental and vision, and then weatherizing your home checks. Definitely needed if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. Yeah, as I always say, keep the moderate Democrats out of the House, and specifically out of the Senate. Then we got checks for pre-kindergarten, free pre-kindergarten, and then checks for tuition-free community college across the country. Definitely needed for everyone who says, I don't understand what the world is he saying, LA. Now you can take the class called What the World is LA Saying 101. And if you want to be fluent, you can take LA 202, the foreign language called Los Angeles. And there you go. Cluster number 2 checks pass. Time to zip right into cluster number 3. We're knocking these out of the ballpark. Here comes cluster number 3 checks for seniors and free internet pass. These are free school meals for all checks. We got checks for cheaper prescription medication, checks for free internet. We got checks for farmers. We got checks for free internet. Then we got checks for workers like independent contractors. And then we got checks for seniors like lowering Medicare at eligibility age, and then checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. Wow, these are a lot of checks. 2 of the checks on the third cluster the president likes and I like because they're instant savings. The first one is cheaper prescription medication. Let's say you go to the pharmacist today and say, I need a prescription, and he's for a headache, and he says, oh, the moderate Democrat's bothering you again. And I'm like, yeah, what's the solution? Seats for stimulus. I need a prescription. You take 2 $20 bills out of the wallet, then maybe you only have to pay for 1 $20 bill after it becomes law, splitting the cost and an instant savings to your wallet. And then free internet. Yes, you'll get free internet offered to your cities, counties, and states from the federal government. All you have to do is ask for the Wi-Fi and username, and the Wi-Fi is Goth Gang Go Away. Password is DC Reese. Well, there you go. 3 clusters of checks pass. First, second, and third, and they're all staying in there. The breaking news today at mornings is that all these items are staying in there. There'll be no reduction of these checks whatsoever. Then what they're changing is the duration and the taxes on the back end. I'll be explaining that in just a second. But the incredible great news is that nearly 1,000 viewers of this channel have been told that there's an IRS stimulus check, monthly MSC, going in there as well. Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, Wyden on the Senate side, all saying it's going in there. And then Jalopal, AOC, Omar, also telling viewers that it's going in there. Negotiations near complete, monthly stimulus checks, and that the duration would be $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, you get it. $75,000 or less, you get it. And then people like married couples, $150,000 or less, you get it, double it. And family of 4. That is what's going on. Here is what's happening today with that as well. This week, more viewers confirmed the following of that IRS stimulus check. Confirmed that statement last week. Bernie Sanders' office telling no less than 3 viewers of this channel last week it's going in there. Chuck Schumer telling Donnie's wife that that IRS stimulus check is going in there as well. That's a big one, because remember, 2 ways that IRS monthly stimulus check can go in there, on the House side or on the Senate side. It can be not in the bill, but added by vote-a-rama during the 2-day vote-a-rama on the Senate side. That's where the senators add things. And if you have Chuck Schumer in your court, that is a big win, because he's the guy that determines when things go for a vote during the vote-a-rama. Wow, a biggie. A biggie. Now, the exciting great news at mornings is that everything that is in this recon is staying in the recon. Everything that is happening in the recon is remaining in the recon. The only thing that's being changed is the back end. I'll explain that to viewers in just a second. We'll be going over more about third stimulus. We'll be going over more about these monthly IRS stimulus checks. But here's what you need to know, is that the progressives, the House, and the Senate have told viewers and continue to tell viewers by the day every week over the last 8 weeks that it will be added. The moment that that $3.5 trillion recon was passed on that House floor, Pelosi, the president, and the progressives said it's a work in progress. We're adding things in there. We can still add things in there, and we will add that monthly stimulus check in there as well. Those details and more. But first, here's a little commercial break. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as the excitement of Mornings LA continues. If you want that money for rent, utilities, and food or internet, and you need assistance, here is a little bit from the community page. The volunteers can help you across the board. And I will be back with you in 60 seconds as more details about this incredible detail of the incredible recon stay in place unfold. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now, direct from Santa Monica, and it's live. I hope the weather is good where you are. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from. The incredible great news is that that $3.5 trillion recon passed, and everything that's in that recon is staying in place. I'll explain to you how they do this. Cluster number 1, check staying in there. Cluster number 2, staying in there. Third, staying in there. Every check is staying in there with the same payout, but they're going to change the back end. What does that mean? I'll explain the details. Then I'll go over the incredible great news that's still coming on in from those IRS monthly stimulus checks. It's huge and it's big and it's breaking this morning on Mornings LA. Then we'll be going over to the big money under third stimulus, because financial independence starts here, and I'll show you how to get big sums of money from the nonprofits, because now they are stepping up along with third stimulus. It's a big morning, and the excitement starts right here, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video and consider becoming a member. Coming up next is noontime, then 1 o'clock's show of afternoons, and then 3 o'clock, and then evenings LA. And our new hit show called Evenings Countdown every night at 6 o'clock. But let's turn to the big surprise across the board that unfolded just within hours. The big surprise is that the Democratic caucus is now using this channel and your advocacy for that stimulus check to get the recon finally over the finish line. What's going on? A top aide to Senator Bernie Sanders in D.C. tells a viewer of this channel that Sanders' office is now keeping track, logging your advocacy statements to Sanders' office, and they're doing much the same in other offices as well. What's going on? Your advocacy has worked. And your advocacy is coming from viewers who are Republicans to this channel, Democrats to this channel, red states and blue states. And your advocacy saying why you need stimulus is being so impressively received by the voicemails, the emails, and the calls to Sanders' office that they're now logging those calls and sharing them with any of the other side of the table to say, listen, I got people calling around the clock. It was several weeks ago I told you that if you flooded the congressional offices with advocacy, they would love it because ultimately they're going to talk about you. And reportedly, that's what they're doing. The senators are now reportedly talking about you all the time, saying LA's viewers are calling me and they're so impressive. They're so their advocacy is so good that we need to share this and show this as an example of why people need it. Moreover, they're now keeping track of what state you're from because that's part of the equation. If people say my state doesn't want it, yeah, your state does want it. They're LA viewers. They also understand how this channel has been different. This channel has been different because broadcast media is not reporting the recon. Broadcast media is not telling Americans what's in the recon. Broadcast media is not telling Americans when the recon passes a House Budget Subcommittee. Broadcast media is not informing people so that the result is people don't know whether they like it or don't like it because they're not being told about it. Here, you're being told about it. Here, you're getting the incredible details of what's going on. And so Sanders' office adores your advocacy and wants you to continue. Now, this is consistent with what Ben Tolchin said a few days ago, which is a fascinating comment. He's a Democratic pollster, and he said during the Obama administration, Obama would have done it differently than Biden's doing it right now. Ironically, I'm sort of doing it like Obama. Obama, Tolchin said, would have gone to the home states and said, do you want this items? Do you want this recon? Well, tell your senators you want the recon. That's what I've been telling you all along. Tell the senators you want the money and tell them to say yes to do it. Well, it was that plea that I said to viewers over the last 2 days, especially if you're in the states of Arizona or West Virginia, to pick up the phone and not only say you're an LA viewer, not only say you want the recon, and not only advocate for it, but identify your state. And if it's Arizona, please make the phone call. I had a wonderful, nice viewer from Arizona send me a beautiful message on Facebook saying, I support your channel. I support the recon. I'm making those phone calls. And I got 400 followers all in Arizona. We're all making the phone calls. There you go. That's what advocacy looks like. Now, let's go over how this advocacy has worked, how this advocacy has stepped up, and what's important to understand, and I always love your comments. I always love every nuance I see. Someone on Morning's Countdown just a few minutes ago said, LATE hasn't had any new graphics for comments from the congressional leaders in the last day or two. If I had a camera on set that showed the production capability of this channel, you would see I can only manipulate so many graphics in a given video, and it just seems overwhelming to deliver any more than 20, 30 comments from different congressional staffers. So if you don't see a congressional staffer's comment in the last 24 hours, don't think that anything has changed. It's the same situation. Donnie's wife got Chuck Schumer's office on the phone last week, and the #1 guy in the Senate who does the vote-a-rama, who determines when we make amendments to anything from the House, said, and the monthly stimulus check is going in there. Let's go over all the incredible details starting no less than 8 weeks ago. 8 weeks ago, I said, pick up the phone and advocate for the inclusion of that monthly stimulus check. And WR did. He called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's oldest confidant, and advocate for that stimulus check inclusion. And WR got the message from Chris Coons' office. Yes, that monthly stimulus check is going in there. Then 3 weeks ago, you saw this channel change very quickly. The news cycle changing by the hour. Me updating videos very quickly on the hour and giving you a lot of exclusives. I told you the House would write the budget, the 3.5 recon. They did, with Sheila Jackson, the #1 in the Progressive, #2 in the Progressive Caucus, doing it. More about her later in this video. I told you that the House subcommittee would vote first. They did. I told you that the House floor will vote next. They will. And I told you, Bernie, is important to the equation. Well, he is. 3 weeks ago, Bernie Sanders said that as budget chairman, I like to get out amongst the people when doing a recon. That means he wants to hear from you. I said, pick up the phone and advocate. And Lynn Glenn did, and Margaret did, and Brother Joshua did, advocating for that stimulus check inclusion. And the result was Sanders' office said, yes, that IRS stimulus check is going in there monthly. Now, let's understand what advocacy looks like, what advocacy doesn't look like. Advocacy involves telling your unique story. I am an LA viewer. I am from the state of Arizona, for example. And in Phoenix, this is what's happening to my family. This is what's happening in my town, my church, my business. I got to tell you why I need this money. And the story may often involve you and your finances. It may often involve you and your medical condition, or maybe your family or your business, your town or your faith. Something is unique to you. It all involves sentences with periods at the end, explaining your situation. That's why Sanders is so overwhelmed. That's why Liz Warren is so impressed, because you've been very clear in explaining your situation so that everyone can resonate with your narrative and understand your advocacy. Now, this is not advocacy. Advocacy is not asking questions. Am I getting a check? What amount? What month? Where? How? Who? He? I? Anything that ends with a question mark is not advocacy. That prompts a no answer. No one wants just a lot of questions. People want to hear you advocate. And that's what Brother Joshua did 3 weeks ago. He picked up the phone and said, I need it for my church, my family, my community. He's a 2020 volunteer to the community page. He's gotten viewers fortunes from the shell and thick of the winter of 2020. He advocated, and Sanders' office said yes. $1,000 to $1,300, 3 to 6 months. But Sanders' office needs to hear from you. Needs to hear from you. And that is the face of advocacy, that he was asking you to pick up the phone and advocate. And that is what you started to do. And let's look at screen grabs that came in from viewers who advocated. Here is Donnie. Yeah, you met his wife? Here's Donnie now. He writes, I called Bernie Sanders' office and they said they're doing a forced stimulus check. They said yes. I said I need it for my city. I need it to progress for my water and everything. And they said they're doing it. Advocacy kept on coming in from Tina. I called Bernie Sanders' office. They said yes. Advocacy took many forms, like Caroline, who wrote, I called Sanders' office. I said why I need it for my home. People are losing their homes and everything. And they said they're putting it in. Yes. Yaya calling Ron Wyden's office, advocating, and they saying yes. And also SS200. Advocacy took another form when we understood then we have to call multiple offices, not one. And here comes Will. Will calling 3 offices, and all 3 offices saying yes to that inclusion of that monthly stimulus check all in one day. I called Bernie's office, I called Liz, I called Chuck Schumer's office. All 3 confirmed it. I told my situation how stimulus check would help. Liz Warren's office asked me what kind of check I want. I want the American petition. That's $2,000 a month. And Liz Warren said their office said they're on board with that. And the senator is doing $1,400 to $2,000 a month, 6 to 12 months. Lorica writing, I got Bob Casey's office and on the phone, and they said they're doing it as well. By that point, 1,000 viewers of this channel being confirmed. Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, Wyden, all confirmed the inclusion of that monthly stimulus check. Last week as well, this week as well, the confirmations continue to come on in. If you have great stories, send it me on private message. AOC, Omar, Jalapal, and Pelosi. Then I said reach out to them as well, and viewers continue to start reaching out to them. Mark picking up the phone calling Pelosi's office, and Pelosi's staff telling Mark writes there would be a forced stimulus check of $2,000, $1,000 thereafter, 6 to 12 months, and they're near negotiating that check. That is a check for the same eligibility as the previous stimulus package, that they're near complete, that it's monthly stimulus check, so that'd be $1,000 a month after the first month of $6,000, $2,000 running 6 months. SSI and SSDI get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, get it. Single individual, $75,000 or less, get it. The confirmations kept on coming in from Ida, from Lynn Glenn, Omar and Jalapal, and Janice as well. And there you go. Cluster number 1's checks passed. Cluster number 2's checks passed. Cluster number 3's checks passed. And that IRS stimulus checks would be added in there as well. All items are staying and nothing is getting reduced. So, how do they make changes? Let's go over the notion of how you make changes on the back end, as viewers ask me to explain what this means. The recon that passed involved a series of steps, and remember the steps involved. Procedural, recon procedural, then recon substantive. I'm going to go over Bernie's comments, Chuck's comments, Liz Warren, AOC, Omar, Jalapal, and Sheila Jackson all right now. In the last 24 hours, they rehashed the same thing that I've been reporting on this channel for several weeks. One, Bernie Sanders went into meetings in the month of July to agree upon a recon procedural amount of the price tag. He went in asking for $7 trillion. He walked out with an agreement of $3.5 trillion from every Senate Democrat, including those two. They all agreed, $3.5 trillion recon procedural, call the vote. They called the vote on the Senate, passed. The Senate passed the recon procedural, $3.5 trillion. It then went to the Senate. The Senate voted on the recon procedural, passed, $3.5 trillion. Recon procedural, passed. You remember what comes up next. Recon substantive. The substance, which asks how do we spend the money on the 3.5, we have now agreed upon. That's why it went to a House Budget Subcommittee 2 weeks ago, led by Sheila Jackson, the #2 chair in the progressive wing of the party. She wrote the legislation. She was there that middle of that night. And they went for that vote and they passed it. $3.5 trillion recon substantive passing the House subcommittee. So what did these group of progressives say in the last few days? We have passed it. It's law. It's not going to get changed. So what would get changed? Let's go over all the details starting right now. Number one, whatever program is in the recon substantive is staying in there. Number two, whatever program is in the recon is not going to get watered down. So if it's a program that pays $4,000, it's going to still pay $4,000. It's not going to pay $3,500. It's going to pay the same amount, which is why I'm staying on point with this recon pass. And this is what's more important. You need to know what's passed. You need to know what these programs are, because this is what's going over the finish line. They're not getting changed, the progressives have made clear. So what does get changed? And now let me slow it down for this part, which can be confusing for some people. What's getting changed is two potential items. The first one, I predicted would happen, and late yesterday, Jalapal confirmed my reporting again. Jalapal said we can change the duration of the program from, for example, 10 years to 9 years. Now, hold up. We're not talking about removing months of stimulus checks from 6 to 4. We're talking about things that are running 2 decades. We're talking about years change, not months change. So, for example, Bernie Sanders went into the negotiations asking for $7 trillion, got $3.5 trillion. He brought the time horizon in from like 20 years to 10 years on some programs. Now what they can do on the back end, again, not your money, is change the program from, let's say, running for 10 years to, let's say, running for 9 years. You're still going to get the same program. You can still get the same payout, but you may not get it in the 10th year. You may get it in 9 years. Now, Jalapal made a fascinating comment yesterday, which is if we run the programs for 9 years, run the programs for all these many years, the next Congress is going to have a real hard problem not continuing it for a few more years because it's going to be so popular at that point that people are going to say, this is wonderful. Why would we not continue it? Great analysis. The second item, a little bit more complicated, so let me slow this one down. Another item changed on the back end is they're going to change how they pay for the program by modifying the tax implications. The programs are being paid for by tax codes being changed. Corporate tax codes and wealth tax codes for billionaires. When they modify that on the back end, they don't have to spend as much money on the programs. So, for example, instead of the tax code being, let's say, 28% for the corporate tax rate, then it's 25% for the corporate tax rate. Instead of being this rate for the wealth tax, it's then this amount for the wealth tax. This is on the back end again. Doesn't impact what's in your wallet, just impacts the total package as a whole. The progressives, Jalapal, Omar, Sheila Jackson, and across the board have all said over the last few days, and again today, that they're not removing any program, that no program is getting watered down, and that they can still add things to the package. That's what they say about those MSC checks. This is huge because that's why it's so important to understand what's in this recon and understand what is going forward. Now, this is where we go forward across the next few days. It's important to understand that in the front end, nothing is going to look different for you than it looked last week or this week. It's the back end that really doesn't concern you and that we're not really going to see that's going to get changed. the programs, the bikes, the $4,000 to care for the elderly, the free internet, the hazard pay, the paid leave, all that's staying in there. All that narrative is unchanged. All those amounts are staying in there. The back end, which we never really focused on at all on this channel, which is how much the wealth tax is. I don't even know what the number is on the wealth tax. I don't even know the percentages that the inheritance tax comes in and the inheritance. That's what's getting changed on the back end. Not something I ever would record about, not anything that I ever cover for you. That's what they're modifying. Sheila Jackson, she's the vice chair of the progressive wing, said it best. We have some very, very smart professional lifetime federal employees who are hired to do these mathematical calculations about the tax code for us. I'm an elected official. I don't do tax codes. We have people on staff that are paid to do this. And that's how they figure out if I modify a tax code, this is how much different the program changes. Suddenly, it's no longer 3.5 trillion. It's a different number because they changed the tax code. Not because they took out your money, not because they removed anything. Now, here is what's going on outside this channel. Outside this channel, I had a very nice viewer send me a very nice message in one of the live chats. I think it was Morning's Countdown this morning. She said she turned on one of the broadcast channels, and they said, I heard the president cut the recon in half, which means my checks are in half. Okay, let's analyze that. Number one, president didn't cut the recon in half. Number two, president didn't, in fact, said the opposite. Said he doesn't want to talk about the programs. President wants every program that's in there. Number three, would they modify the total price tag of the program? They might. Excuse me, the package, they might. But they're not removing any program, and they're not removing how much the program pays for. They're removing the back end. That's an example of very, very, very bad broadcast reporting, where you heard where the wrong verb was delivered, where the wrong news was delivered, and ultimately the recipient of the sound thought, my money's getting cut in half. That's exactly what's the antithesis of what's happening. Unfortunately, as we go on, the broadcast media continued to get worse across the board. Now, let's go to the big exciting details of the big money that's available for you for third stimulus and also for the nonprofits. One of the number one things that I taught on this channel in 2020, and I'm bringing it back on this channel this week, is financial independence. I want you to get as much money as you can from this channel on the hour, by the hour, so that you're financially independent going into the winter months and next year. We're going to go over how to get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, food, SNAP, clothing, appliances, and more. And we're going to go over it starting right now. Get a pen, paper, and cell phone ready. First, we're going to get some rent, utilities, and also some SNAP. I want you to see that the numbers on these items have literally gone up astronomically in the last few weeks. This is where we were about a month ago. People on rent have now seen the number grow to $40,000 on this channel. When we talk about utilities, it's now grown to $15,000. When we talk about the money for SNAP, it's grown to $21,000. So now is your day. Now is your place. I'm going to get you this money starting right now. Get that pen, paper, a cell phone ready. We're going to get some rent, utilities, mortgage, food, internet, appliances, and more, and starts right now. First, we're going to get some rent. You're going to reach out to 6 places that have different eligibility. Reach out to each one. If one says no, reach out to the next. They have different pots of money. Number 2, listen to the keywords I say in this video. And number 3, get ready for the nonprofits. Here are the 6 places you're going to reach out to: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Wow, I already just did the United. I just did the nonprofits. Sorry, these are the 6 places you're going to reach out to: City Hall, City House Authority; County Hall, County House Authority; State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Let's go over the 6 places again: your City Hall, your City House Authority; your County Hall, your County House Authority; and your State Hall and your State House Authority. Now, if you're a member of this channel, which I hope you are, you're delivered the newsletter nightly, Monday through Friday, that has in there that statement from Treasury. Treasury sent out an additional $13 billion for rent. It's everywhere. It's going to be in red, blue, and purple states. Your city and county will have the money, but it won't be there forever. So read that newsletter that came out from Treasury, which says something along the lines of this: Treasury happen to provide the state and local governments with these additional resources to help Americans in time of rental assistance. All right, next. I want you to get utilities. So if you have 5 utility companies, reach out to all 5. Mortgage assistance, the same thing. And then finally, the nonprofits. The nonprofits are wonderful. What are the 5 nonprofits? First, it's important to understand that the nonprofits pay for the same items under third stimulus, but with different eligibility. So if you're having an eligibility problem, and you know you are, potentially, then lean on the nonprofits because they do things differently. Here are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. They're featured in the newsletter as well. Now, the other thing to remember about the nonprofits is they pay for items that third stimulus doesn't pay for. Yeah, I had a viewer yesterday who was messaging me from his car. He's homeless. And I said, lean on the nonprofits because they help for homeless people in the shelters. They help for clothing. They also help for food. And they also do small appliances sometimes. 2 viewers have gotten refrigerators. 1 got a furnace. 1 got a window fix. Here again are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. Great question I got from a viewer 2 days ago, which is, can I put applications in more than one place? You should be putting applications in more than one place. You should be putting applications in as many places as your pen can do it. And you should apply and get money from as many places as possible. Viewers like Mark, who got $51,000 for his channel, Johnny, who got $80,000, and Lorraine, who got $105,000, got money for the same items from different places. So you absolutely should do that. All right, now let's turn to SNAP. SNAP is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. Lynn Glenn got it. Gail got it as well. I want you to get this big money. And yes, everyone's benefits are going up an average of 25% lifetime automatically nationwide starting this month. So go get that money for SNAP. And Mark's brother-in-law going from $21,000 to $26,000 per year because of my recordings. Then we turn to the refund checks from those IRS. First, the refund check from your state due to overpayment of computer error. It's landing. Reach out to your state. Its average payment is about $2,000 to $5,000. And then the refund check from IRS, where you pay taxes on that 2020 unemployment benefits. Average payment is about $1,100 to $2,000. If you got in any of these sums of money, like Margaret Cotta and Gail, who got that last pot of money, post it on the live chat right now. Because when you do, you inspire other people to get these sums of money. Also, if you haven't become a member, become a member. The link is under the video. Daily, members of this channel get the newsletter. It comes out at about 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, written by me, sent via the YouTube alert system for members and the LALATE alert system, which I hope you're an alert system viewer as well. Totally free, the alert system, under this video. The membership newsletter features all the big money under first, second, and third stimulus that you can get. And this is where financial independence starts right now. I want you to get as much money as you can. If you got $3,000 on this channel, I don't want you to stop. I want you to go get more money. If you haven't gotten any money, I want you to get the money. If you've reached out to one place and they say, I don't think you're eligible, I want you to lean on the nonprofits. Here are 3 promises I want you to make to yourself. 1, I want you to get as much money into 2022 as possible. I don't think a lot of these items from third stimulus will be continued under fourth stimulus, like rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance. I don't think you're going to see this in 2022. I do know it's paying now. So get it paying as far into next year, and you are going to be very happy you got it because of that. Number 2, I want you to get utilities as far as you can into 2022. And number 3, I want you to get the money from nonprofits if you're eligible. Get money from many different sources. Don't just accept one pot of money and say the day is done. Financial independence starts here. And if I can get your rent, mortgage, utilities, clothing, food, any of these items paid for, then alleviates the financial burden that can ensue for a family. Financial independence starts with getting as many of your bills paid for across the board. So consider becoming a member. The link's under the video. And with that, let's go into the big update as we conclude this big morning's LALATE broadcast. The big, incredible, great news is that a $3.5 trillion recon passed the House subcommittee no less than 2 weeks ago, which follows a recon procedural which passed. Remember, recon procedural now law, and that is a $3.5 trillion recon procedural. So then they went and did the recon substantive, and that passed with the clusters. Cluster number 1's passed. which includes hazard pay and $4,000 for elder care. Cluster number 2's checks passed with home repairs and paid leave. Cluster number 3's checks passed with seniors and free internet. And everything that's passed is staying passed. There will be nothing removed. No program is coming out. No item is being reduced. And this is as no less than 1,000 members of this channel have gotten the same message from those senators that they are including that monthly stimulus check. $1,000 after the first month of $2,000, says those members of Congress to this channel. They want to hear from you. They want to hear you advocating. I need it. My family needs it. I'm from the state of, and I'm an LATE viewer, and I need to tell you why I need it. Everything that's staying there is staying there. The only thing that's being changed is the back end, and the back end doesn't concern you. Potentially 10 years to 9 years, for example, or corporate taxes going from 27 to 26.5. Things that don't concern you, that is what's getting changed. Finally, get these big sums of money for food and internet and rent across the board, because those monies are available for you right now. That's where financial independence starts, and that's where LATE steps in. It's a big day, and we got a lot coming up today. Coming up later is noontime at 11 a.m. This video will automatically take you to noontime coming up next. And then the 1 o'clock show of Afternoons LATE. Then the big afternoons 3 o'clock show where I go over all this incredible details. And then the 5 o'clock evenings show. So many details. With your recon passing and now the inclusion of the stimulus checks still happening, you got to push, you need to advocate, and you need to stay here with LATE for more. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing, and the bacon was in the room. And this was LATE.